Welcome to Scorched Earth. This is going to be a general reading for the sign of Gemini, Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the month of April. If you don't know what your moon or ascendant signs are, have a look in the description box below. There's a link down there that will help you, and then you should come back and watch the videos for your moon and ascendant signs. So they'll give you a better idea of what's going on with you overall than you'll get from just your sun sign. Thank you for your continued support, and if you're a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. I hope that you find something here for you. Thank you for all your likes, shares and comments and messages and donations. They're all greatly appreciated. But I feel obliged to tell you that I was visited in the comments section of my Sagittarius video by an agent of the Lord who took me to task for my dark ways and let you all know that you are putting your mortal souls in peril by listening to me, so do with that information as you will. Gemini. It's actually hilarious. You should go and have a read of it because it's hysterical. Right, let's get you some cards. Oh, just the other thing. I started doing extendeds this month, but this month I'm only doing them for the signs that I feel like really need them, like they really need some guidance. So until I've completed this video, I don't know if you're going to fall into the brackets of one of the signs who needs them, but if you do, there'll be a link down in the description box to it. If not, then next month I'll start doing them properly for all of the signs. So just something to bear in mind. Right. I have 3 cards for Gemini, please. Oh, first card that you have is the 9 of Swords. It's air energy. Just looking at these cards that have flipped, we've got the Universe, which is the world in a standard deck. We've also got the Knight of Pentacles and the 10 of Swords. Feels like something's come to an end. We'll get into it. And the card for Gemini, please. Clot it out. We've got the Page of Pentacles. And what was this here? And the Sun. Okay. And what is coming towards Gemini, please? What's coming towards Gemini in April? The Moon. It's a card of Cancer for me in the Major Arcana. It talks about things that are hidden, but for me it's usually the stuff that's bubbling along underneath, so it comes to talk to me quite often about shadow work and such things, but we'll get some clarifiers and we'll work it out. I've got some Page of Cups at the bottom of the deck, which talks to me about small messages of love. More often than not an apology, to be honest. So that's an interesting thing. Let's get some more cards and have a look. What's the 9 of Swords here for Gemini, please? Fucking. Oh, it's the Knight of Swords, that's you. Where's the 9 of Swords here? Gemini. How unlike you to be so uncommunicative with the cards. That's funny. What about the 9 of Swords? It's a Page of Swords, but it's come out in reverse. Interesting. We've got a whole heap of flippers here. We've got the 2 of Swords, the Queen of Cups. Yeah, okay. I think I can see where this is going. What about the Page of Pentacles, please? What's the Page of Pentacles here for Gemini? Gemini, the cards are a bit of a mess. for you today. Page of Pentacles, please. Of Swords. Okay. At the bottom of this deck, we've got the Page of Cups, followed by the Nine of Swords, followed by the King of Cups, right? Okay. Let's have a look. So the first card you've got is the Nine of Swords, right? And this is a card of... it's a card of grief. It's a card of overthinking, right? It's quite often a card of insomnia. You know, those things. I read something, a very talented tarot reader. He does all sorts of things, other things besides, actually. He's a magician as well. But when he was talking about this card, he said, instead of framing it for the querent, which is the person for whom the cards are being read, as, you know, what is it that's bothering you at night? It's, say instead, if you were to wake up in the middle of the night, what would it be that would be on your mind? And for some reason, this is that which he said is what's coming to mind when I look at this card. It's like a low level worry. It's a low level concern that you've got. I don't feel like you're in a state of complete anguish, or you have been in a state of complete anguish, rather, because this is recent past. It's been more a low-lying thing, you know, and on those occasions where you wake up in the middle of the night, this, whatever this card represents, is the thing that you would be thinking about, perhaps the thing that would stop you from going back to sleep. The thing with the Nine of Swords is it's often overthinking, because there's an implication that what it is that you're worrying about doesn't have as much of a basis in reality as you might be crediting it at the moment. And then we've got these two cards here, right? The Knight of Swords and the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is reversed. There's a lot of swords, right? You are an air sign, so that's not that much of a surprise. But the Knight of Swords is strictly Gemini, right? It talks about... Well, often for me, when I see the Knight of Swords, and particularly when it's in relation to a Gemini, it's that sense of having kind of run your mouth before your brain engaged. Right? We can speak freely here, Gemini. This is something that you do. Right? And in combination with this one, it feels like the low-level thing that you're worrying about is a past conversation that you've had with someone where you said something that you didn't necessarily mean. You said it first because your mouth engaged before your brain did. You didn't fully think through the consequences of saying what you did, I think. And this is causing you some concern, or has caused you some concern, rather. And then we've got the Page of Swords. Now, this way up, it's the delivery of a message that can be quite cutting, but is generally true. You know, it's conveying information in a bit of a brutal way, because it doesn't have the niceties, you know, the social mores that the higher court echelons possess. But when it's this way up, it's more about information gathering than conveyance. I'm going to pull another card for it because I'm quite intrigued to see which way this is talking about. Because it's possible to see it as you having become vexed with hearing some information, you know, and it's made you say something that you didn't mean. Hearing some information that you perhaps didn't check the veracity of before you responded to it. Or it's you having been doing a bit of digging, maybe a bit of cyber stalking, something like that, and come across something that you didn't like and then kicking off about it. Let's see if we can get some clarification. Okay, so we've got the devil at the bottom of the deck now. He's quite a fun little fellow, this devil, right? But it talks about toxicity and it talks about obsession, and if you are cyber stalking someone, if you are all over their social media, then that kind of falls into that bracket. But the two cards that we've got here are the Three of Wands and Death. Now it could be that this relates to a Scorpio, potentially. And this Three of Wands, like, I usually interpret it as some sort of expansion, right? That's what it says to me, the Three of Wands. But I'm looking at the picture here, and notice how the first character is looking ahead like that, and the other one's like cocking his ear like that. It seems to add a bit of credibility to this notion of information gathering. And then we've got this Death card. It feels like whatever you learned, it's changed everything for you. Things aren't the way they were before you found out this information, but it's been your reaction to it, which is the thing, I think, that is keeping you awake. And we've got the Five of Pentacles, which talks about feeling left out in the cold. It feels isolated, yeah. Yeah. That's pretty uncomfortable, but don't fret. The next card we've got is the Page of Pentacles, and for me the Page of Pentacles is a card of a new start, right? It's a solid, tangible new start. It's a page just as the Page of Swords and the Page of Cups is, but whilst they're all kind of messengers in their own way, for me the Pentacles hierarchy, not so much the King of Pentacles, but the Page, the Knight and the Queen, they're all about recognizing the value of something, right? And so the Page is then recognizing the value of, it could be themselves, it could be what they have to offer. It could be a card of recognizing their own self-worth, or it could be a card of recognizing the value of moving forwards and moving away from whatever this situation is. Because two cards that we've got underneath here are the Five of Pentacles again and the Four of Swords, right? So the Five of Pentacles is exactly what I said. It's a card of isolation, it's a card of abandonment, it's a card of feeling left out. It's a card of poverty. It's feeling lack in whatever respect this applies to you. And that can be financial, but it could quite as equally be emotional. It could be spiritual. It could be, take it as it resonates to you. But in this card, there's a sense of, this woman's going for a walk out in the snow. It's like she took herself out. There's an open door behind her and her footsteps are clearly leading away from this thing, like you left this behind. But in your current energy, you are feeling the loss, even though you appreciate that it was the right thing to do, right? Four of Swords talks about taking a break from things, taking a step back. It's lending credibility to this notion that you were the one who instigated the removal of yourself from a situation. Four of Swords. Got this devil again, right? So it was a toxic situation. Whatever it was that you found yourself in was toxic and it wasn't good for you. And you've pulled yourself away from it, which was absolutely the right thing to do, Gemini, but it has left you feeling a bit woeful. And then we've got the Moon again. doing a bit of deep digging. We've got the Two of Cups now at the bottom of the deck, and this could have been a relationship that you've walked away from potentially, but there's a real sense of you taking some time here to look at this. I mean, this could also be a Capricorn and Cancer, I'll just say that there, but I feel like this is more energetic, and it feels like, you know, you do know that it was toxic, you do know that it was something that you needed to move away from, and this has caused you to kind of look within and maybe see why you allowed it to go as far as you did for so long, because the moon talks to me about the subconscious, and it talks about those old wounds and those triggers and stuff that lie beneath, those things that we don't consciously acknowledge as being the drivers for our behavior. And it seems like you're doing a bit of analysing of that. That's really healthy, Gemini. And I know, I can see from this that it's been difficult and you have overthought it, and whilst you're still in that energy of experiencing the pain of rejection, I feels like there's been some rejection here, even if you instigated the moving away from it. But you are looking forwards, starting on a new path. Got the Page of Cups underneath there as well. Page of Cups underneath the Two of Cups. So that's now the Page of Cups at the bottom of this deck, the Page of Cups at the bottom of this deck, and the Page of Cups underneath here. Right? So where's this apology coming from? Are you contemplating apologising? Or is this person coming towards you with an apology? We'll see. The final card that you've got is the Moon. Right? This is what's coming towards you in April, and it's already been out once before. We've got it here. I really, really love this depiction of the moon, because you've got this owl flying over this body of water, you know, and the moon is huge in the sky. But because of the darkness, because of the reflection of the moon, it's really difficult to tell how deep this water is, right? And water is emotions and it's feelings and all that kind of thing. But it really talks to me about looking at the hidden parts of you that you don't usually like to look at. You know? As a sign, you are prone to overthinking, right? It's one of the defining characteristics of Gemini, right? You've got a very sharp mind, and you're very acute was the word that I was going to say. No, it's not the word that I was looking for, but you know, mental dexterity, intelligence, you know, quick-witted, all of that kind of thing, right? But when you get stuck in a mental loop, that immediately falls over into overthinking. And what you do by overthinking is completely avoid looking at the situation that you should be looking at, which is the kind of stuff that sits underneath all the overthinking. So instead of going around in this mental loop at the top, which is always very surface, right? Can feel profound, but it's not. It's very surface, and it's kind of, it's stuck in this loop. You kind of need to find a way to break the loop and start looking at the stuff underneath. Like, why has this situation triggered you in such a way? Why have you defaulted to overthinking instead of addressing what's going on underneath? And it's usually because what's underneath is actually really quite painful, and it's not something that you want to indulge in, if at all possible, because humans are quite pain avoidant. You know? So the mind, being the complex machine that it is, it will default to something else, something that feels a little less painful at the outset, but ultimately will damage you more than going deep and looking at the other stuff, right? Now, what's coming towards you is this, right? And it seems to be a King of Pentacles. Now, this is an earth sign, and strictly it's Taurus, but it could be Capricorn or Virgo. Or it could be just somebody who demonstrates those qualities, of an earth sign. So, in its upright presentation, we're talking about someone who's very responsible, very family-minded, somebody very dependable and reliable, who shows up not because they feel obliged to, but because they want to, because that's their thing. Someone who takes care of their own, In its shadow aspect, it's somebody who's quite materialistic, somebody who's quite preoccupied with their own sense of importance, somebody who possibly is obsessed with work, right? So if it's not one of those signs, somebody possibly with one of those signs. And then we've got the Five of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles. Now, all fives talk about instability, right? If the fours are your foundational energy, right, the cornerstones of your existence that you've built up from the ace, right, the five is the energy that comes along and grenades that, right, blows it all up. Everything shifts around, and it actually serves a really important purpose, because it tests. It's a test. It tests that foundation that you have built to see whether it's strong enough. And once you're done with the five, you move on to the six, and that is literally about moving away. It's a movement energy to the sixes. But because this is swords, right, this talks about thoughts and words and communication and all that kind of thing. But for me, the Five of Swords often talks about a break in communication, right? This could be somebody who's ghosted you. Perhaps this Taurus, or this earth sign, or someone with those characteristics. Yeah. So, looking at these two cards here, I feel like the apology is incoming from whoever this person is, because there's been a break in communication somewhere, or maybe the communication that you did have was kind of savage the last time you spoke. Because this person here is someone who will say anything to win. And that might have been you, Gemini, or it might have been them. You'll have to take it as it resonates to you. And remember, the energies can flip, so I could be talking to the cross-watcher entirely. But this is a sense of somebody having either just stopped communicating with you altogether, or communicated in a way that was kind of harsh and completely unnecessary and left you feeling wounded. Now, definitely feeling wounded, definitely overthinking. And then we've got the Seven of Pentacles. Now, the Seven of Pentacles for me is kind of like the situational sit-rep card, right? It's looking at your status quo and working out whether you want to carry on the way you have been doing, or you want to change things, right? In the original depiction of this card, before it got reproduced and recolorized and stuff like that, this plant was actually starting to brown at the edges, starting to look like it was dying off. And this dude here, who still looks quite unhappy, looked more unhappy still, right? So it comes to be, do you invest or do you divest the energy and effort that you have put into raising this pentacle bush here, right? Because the crop isn't necessarily going to be that which you wanted. So the crux of the decision is whether you continue trying to nurture and grow something which is already starting to show signs of blight, or whether you pull it out by the root, clean the soil, and try again, cut your losses, in fact. I think there's an apology coming in from this earth sign, right, for this kind of behaviour here. And it's throwing you into this Seven of Pentacles energy and requiring you to look at the bits that you wouldn't look at before. And maybe those are internal to you. Maybe they are your reactions to things, why you were so triggered by the situation. Or maybe it's looking at the situation itself, the hidden parts of the situation that you were refusing to acknowledge. Say, the red flags of the situation. And it seems like you've been giving a bit of thought to that already, but April really talks about you going in a bit deeper, you know, in whichever way it applies. More about this. Oh. King of Pentacles again. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah. So we've got the King of Pentacles, again, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, like energy. And the Four of Cups, which talks about being taken for granted. It talks about missed opportunities also. And it can talk about rejection. This is going to send you into a bit of a contemplative frame of mind, but it feels like it's more useful than what you were doing before, where you were overthinking before. This is more of a conscious decision to sort of go within and have a look at these things. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the Fool. And then we've got the Eight of Wands, the Ten of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles. I feel like the apology that's incoming is going to come with it an offer of starting again, right? But the fact that the Ten of Cups has come out with it kind of puts me on edge a little bit, because it seems like they're kind of selling you rainbows. You know, this isn't... This isn't the Ace of Cups, or, you know, one of the lower level cups, because there's work to be done on this situation. They're going straight in with the Ten of Cups, and I don't trust that. That makes my gut twitch a little bit. You know, the Eight of Wands means it's going to be swift communication. We're probably looking at something internet based, in an instant messenger of some description, social media, something like that. But, you know, we've got the Fool at the bottom of the deck looking all happy and trusting, but directly underneath that we've got the Ten of Wands, which is a card of burden. Underneath that we've got the Eight of Cups, which is about leaving things behind that don't serve you anymore. And we've got the Eight of Swords underneath that. I mean, you have to make your own decision, Gemini, but it seems like there was a reason why you turned away from this situation in the first place. And to me, I feel intuitively that that reason still is operative. You know, if this had come in with the Two of Cups, or the Ace of Cups, or even the Three of Cups, something like that, I would have trusted it more. But to go straight in at the 10, when there's obviously some water gone under the bridge, it feels like you're being sold moonshine, is what it does. So I don't want to do anything else. Like, you've got a good mind on you, Gemini. But I feel like what the cards are pointing you towards is the possibility of seeing what you only want to see, and that not being how you need to progress in the month of April. You know, you need to look at all the bits of it, even the bits that you don't like, before you can make a proper logical and reasoned decision. Chariot, yeah. Oh, you got two there. Yeah. So there's somebody coming back from the past, trying to get you to come, and it's the Six of Cups and the Three of Rings. Somebody coming back from the past to try and build something with you, but my gut twitches, and this Chariot card coming out here, right? The Chariot card for me is the card of the self. Right? We take the two major arcana that are out in what's coming towards you in April, and this is talking to me about moving forwards with what's right for you, right? it's not about other people. It's about you and your sense of self. You know, the Chariot card talks about balance and duality, but ultimately it talks about the self only, right? Not you in tandem with someone else. It talks about you moving forwards in the way that is best for you. And what is best for you comes as a result of looking at everything, right? Not just what you want to happen, not just what you would wish to happen, but everything that's gone before, whether that's, you know, your internal feelings about things or how this person treated you. Yeah. So we've got the Eight of Swords at the bottom of this deck, right? It's going to leave you feeling a little bit stuck again. We've got a King of Wands here, that's a Leo, and the Ten of Swords, so followed by the Nine of Swords, followed by the King of Swords. She's Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus potentially, or any one of those. Right, tread carefully, Gemini, and be gentle with yourself. But it seems like there's a little bit of self-discovery for you in the month of April. I may or may not do an extended. Like, I feel like you could maybe do with one, but I'll leave it to the comments. And if you want one, then I will sit and I will do one for you. Yeah. Take care.